One thing I didn't say, that part of the honor for me when I got sworn in was January 4th was that Judge Davenport gave me the governor's commission, which stays in the annals of Pennsylvania records forever and ever. And I was very honored by that, and also who I practiced with for 20-something years, his cousin, Dick Rogers, who was a civil rights lawyer for many, many years in this area, his brother, Peter Rogers, swore me in. So that was part of the history. I just want to mention that. I was honored.
Yes, I was sworn in by Judge Higginbotham.
Time for justice is now. When they want to talk, they want to talk. So that's fine. That's fine. We just let them go. We want to thank Judge Davenport for just coming by. I called him late yesterday. I probably gave him the wrong time, but he kind of let the cat out of the bag here. But we want to thank him anyhow for coming by. And certainly we want to thank our keynote speaker who, with that fine message that we all can take something from. We're going to continue to move along in our program. At this time, we have an African dance group. Is that correct? And I know that I've been practicing this for a while, and I know I'm still going to say it wrong, but I'm going to say it anyhow. Right now, we have an African dance group called Modopi, Utande, Politiji. So you might want to come up and say that the right way.
Good morning, everyone. I am the sole person in this dance group, by the way. I was, first of all, I'm very glad and honored to be here this morning. I thank the organizers for inviting me. And I have been very impressed by the speech. It's a tough act to follow when a judge speaks before you come up. So I hope that I can still engage your interest. My background, I'm sure you can tell from my accent, I'm from Africa. I'm from Nigeria, in West Africa. I have lived in this country now for 8 years. And okay, they're trying to set up my presentation. I will do a little African dance, but I thought it was actually of benefit, especially since we have some young people in the house, to actually talk about what an African dance is, just to make sure we understand what we mean when we use that phrase, when we use that terminology, because I find that sometimes it's not used as accurately as it's intended. So it's a good thing I only have 10 minutes. The slides I have are very short, and I am going to have to just improvise. I don't have the internet access I thought I would have, so some of the video pieces and clips I was going to show some of the African Nigerian dances I will be able to show. But I have a small instrument here so that when I do the dance, I'm going to be using that to help with the choreography of the dance. So I hope you'll bear with me with that limitation. So, and I hope you'll be very interactive. Doesn't matter. But I can help. All right, I think I'm just opportunity improvised because we can't get the image out there, which is a shame. But Africa, I wanted to give a bit of a background about Africa. We talk about African dance, but what do you know about Africa? Does anybody know? Is there anything that jumps out to you when you talk about Africa? Anyone? It's made up of all black people?
Hotel Rwanda, the movie.
Rwanda, okay. Any other?
Nelson Mandela.
Wonderful. Yes, Nelson Mandela. He's from South Africa. Any other language? Yes, language. That's a very interesting thing. I've heard people ask me, oh, do you speak Swahili? Some people feel that there's one language spoken across the whole of Africa. And unfortunately, that's not true. We would wish it was true, but it's not. There are hundreds of languages spoken across Africa, so we have multiple of languages. To give you some few information about Africa, it's made up of 53 countries. So, sorry, okay. If you can hear me, please let me know. It's made up of 53 countries, so bear that in the back of your mind, and it's the second largest continent in the world after Asia. So that gives you an idea of how big and how varied a continent it is, okay? It is also divided into two main sub-regions. You have the North African region, and then you have the Sub-Saharan region. The two regions are divided by the Sahara Desert. And the North African region is made of countries like Algeria, like Morocco, like Egypt, like Libya. The Sub-Saharan parts are the other 46 countries, which are made up of places you have like South Africa, like Togo, like Ghana, like Nigeria. The interesting thing is the Sub-Saharan region is considered the Black Africa. The North African region, for lack of a better description, you can consider as the White Africa. So whether you ever thought of it in that context, there's actually what you can consider the White and the Black Africa. The Sub-Saharan is a Black African. Oh, great. Wonderful. Okay. So that basically shows you the map of Africa, and like I was saying, there are 53 countries in that continent. So thank you for the next slide. Okay. And as you can see, as I mentioned, it's the second largest and second most populous continent in the world, and it's made up of those two regions. Okay, next slide, please. So when people say, what is an African dance? It's been interesting. I've had people come up to me in the course of conversation, imagine that we have one African dance across the whole continent of Africa. And unfortunately, that is not accurate. So I would say that an African dance refers mainly to the dance, in the general connotation, the dance of Sub-Saharan Africa. It's a dance associated with Black Africa. It's not the kind of dance that, when you talk of African dance, people are not thinking about the Egyptian dance, they're not thinking about the Moroccan, the Algerian dance. They're thinking more about the dance associated with the Black people of Africa. And interestingly, it differs from tribe to tribe, from country to country. The country that I come from is called Nigeria, and it's in West Africa. And even within Nigeria, we have different dances depending on the ethnic group. The common thread with African dance, and when I say African dance from this point onwards, I'm referring to the Sub-Saharan African region, is that we use a lot of drums. It's very drum-based. We like to move our bodies, we like to, and it's not, some tribes move different parts of the bodies more in their dance. In some tribes, it's more of the feet stamping and the jumping around. In some tribes, it's just more of the movement of the upper body. So the dances do differ from one tribe to the other and from country to country. I wouldn't be able to dance the way the indigenous and people from Tanzania, for example, dance, or the people from Senegal, they have their own special kind of dance. And even within my country, I would not be able to dance the indigenous Igbo dance or the Hausa dance. So to bear that in mind, it's very, very dependent on tribe, dependent on the country that you're referring to. Next slide, please. And the different, we have different reasons and causes for dancing in Africa. I mean, you have dances that are associated strictly with the culture of the day of the people. You have dances that are associated with rituals. You have dances that are associated with celebrations. You have dances that are just for leisure, and you have dances that are for religious purposes. So we have different flares and types of dances, even within an ethnic group, within a country, for different occasions. Next slide, please. Okay. So, like I said, I'm from one of the countries in Africa. I am from Nigeria. It's located in the western part of Africa. There are three major ethnic groups. There are hundreds of ethnic groups, subsets of these three main ethnic groups, and we speak different languages. Nigeria used to be a British colony, and so English is the national language, believe it or not. And then our individual ethnic groups could be considered the secondary language. So we all speak English in Nigeria. I come from the Yoruba tribe, and I speak Yoruba. And the dance I'm going to do is a very short dance that is done in the Yoruba land for mothers. Okay, the next slide, and I'm sorry, when I got in here, I tried to launch this hyperlinks. I was going to show you some dance styles. I was very frustrated with the fact that I had 10 minutes, but I had little clips that I wanted to show you. I'll just talk about it briefly in view of the fact that I can't launch it. Some of the types of dances you have in the Yoruba culture, you have Eyo. It's more of like a masquerade. They're white, all white with colorful hats and with sticks, and then it happens like once a year in the Yoruba land, and it's really a very colorful and all-day event. They have a very specific type of dance that goes with that. Then you have the Yoruba Bata freestyle. That's a lot of jumping around with the feet stamping, and it's very energetic. If you haven't eaten, you don't want to be doing the Bata dance. Then you have the dance that is associated with Shango, which is one of the Nigerian deities, gods, local gods, and that again is very interesting to watch. And then you have the dances at occasions that are just kind of, mellow, not, very energetic, and that's the kind of dance we're going to do today. It's not jumping all over the place. So there are occasions for the different kind of African dances. I know that on TV most of the time when they show a documentary or whatever, you see the more energetic type of dancing, but that's not the type of dance we do all the time. We don't dance like that all the time. That probably took about 5-6 minutes, which was my intention because I didn't want to run over. And then I'm about to go into the song. But before I do that, I want to ask if there are any questions, especially from the younger people in the audience, about African dance that you want to ask at this point. I hope I've been able to make it clear that that is a generic description. If people say, talking about African dance, if you want to be clear exactly what type of African dance, ask them where is it from, what country, what people is it associated with, and then you'll be able to have a better understanding of the specific kind of dance. Okay, any questions at this point? Okay, no? No? All right. Has anybody seen an African dance? Okay, okay. Well, I hope you will not be disappointed because, like I said, I'm going to do a very simple, laid-back kind of dance that, it's the song. You can put on the next slide, actually, now. Those are the words of the song, and I was actually going to launch the YouTube clip on there. It's a song that is basically, a song and a dance that is usually done to praise mothers, and it's usually done at celebrations. So, say for example, at a wedding, you know, the mother of either the bride or the groom will most likely have her friends sing the song, pretty much just, you know, appreciating that a mother is of great value. If it's at a birthday, a milestone birthday, say for example, I had a friend that was 48 last Saturday, and we had a party. It's one of the songs that was sung there to appreciate the mother and to thank the mother for, you know, all that she had done for this child. So it's common in the Yoruba land where I come from that people sing this to thank and to praise their mother on a festive, celebratory occasion. The other thing that I forgot to mention when I was talking earlier is that we also have dances that are used to for various things, like to welcome. You have a dance that can be done to welcome people, a dance that is done to prepare for war, and you know, so there are different types of dances down to the level of specific events or things that are happening within the Yoruba culture. And I think that also applies to the other different African cultures out there, but I can only speak for Yoruba specifically, and Nigeria to a wider extent. So I will go through the words now, and I'll say the Yoruba first, and then I'll say the English. The English is the part in the parentheses that is a bit bold so that you can read it easily. It says, Iya ni wura iyebíye. That means mother is precious gold. Tí a kò lè fowó rà, that cannot be bought with money. Olóyún mi fóṣù mẹ́sàn-án, she carried me for 9 months in her womb. Ó pọ̀n mi fọ́dún mẹ́ta, she nurtured me for 3 years. In the traditional and olden days in the Yoruba culture, a child was typically nursed for 3 years. So the song has that in there. And then it just finishes with Iya ni wura iyebíye, mother is precious gold, tí a kò lè fowó rà, that money that cannot be bought with money. Okay, I'm sure we all here, everybody here has a mother, so I hope it's a song that we can all identify with. You probably won't remember the words after today. I don't know whether Librarian wants you to send the presentation electronically, but it's very short, and hopefully a bit of it will stick. Okay, so I'm going to grab my little instrument here. Sorry. Like I said, the African culture is very, our dances are always drum-based. I mean, I would say 99% of the time. And you can turn that off. Well, no, give it up so that the words are not there. Is anybody interested in joining me? Hey!
First one over here.
I've never done this before, but I'll try.
If you can do a piece of salsa, you need to move your legs. Yeah, watch me the first time, okay?
All right.
got out of that is that mother is precious gold. And if you remember that, you'll be okay. But we want to thank our African dancer, who, I'm sorry, and our volunteer. What's your name?
Marky.
Marky?
Marky.
Martin. All right, we want to thank Martin. Marquis. Okay, well, thank you anyhow. We'll see you on the end. We'll start down the road. I want to just acknowledge a couple people here because I don't really know what their schedules are and whether they'll be able to stay for the entire program here. But first of all, I do want to recognize the superintendent of Norristown Area School District, Dr. Janet Samuels. Can you please stand for a moment? And I also want to recognize Dr. One second here. Lost the notes here. Dr. Holler, the principal in Norristown. Is she here?
She had to leave.
Okay, well, we certainly thank her for allowing Norristown students to be here. And we certainly want to say thank you to Denise Ash, member of the Norristown Area School Board. Thank her for help coordinating the students getting here today. Right now, we come to the recognition portion of our program, which is always a good portion. At this time, I'd like to have Doretha Fields come forward, please. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Okay. They say in church that that the program is subject to the change that guest of the Holy Spirit. So I just made a little error here. So, okay. At this time, we're going to have a representative come up from Partners with us. His name is Mr. Darren Jacob. And he's going to talk to us about a very, very important issue as it pertains to the 2010 census. So if you can just give him your attention for a couple of minutes.
It's kind of hard to follow Marty dancing. But I am here today to talk to you about something that's pretty important. Before coming, I've done this many times. I haven't done it in front of Black History Week. And I was wondering what my audience was going to look like and what it is that I was going to say to you guys. Like, to take it off of the typical script that we present. So for the guys that are here that may have had a moment away from school, I'm going to do a little bit of teaching. So you're not going to be out of class all day today. And for the rest of you, hopefully there's some good information that we can go ahead and take back to our community. The 2010 census is actually already here. People think of it as it's an approaching thing and it's going to come in April, but we're already out working in the field. The form that they're going to use in the 2010 census, this is the shortest form that we've ever used in the history of the census. It's 10 questions and it only takes about 10 minutes to complete it. What happens as a result of the census is important because it affects over how $400 billion in federal funds are allocated throughout our nation. It's important for this community to know that the census is safe, the information that is collected is not shared with any other federal agency, and the information is used for statistical purposes, and all census employees are bound by a lifetime oath to protect their data. For more than a year now, in preparation for the 2010 census, we've been working with some of the people actually in this room right now, some elected officials, some partners, and we're going to go out and target over 130 million addresses in the nation to fill out the census form. We have a robust partnership program that actually got us to come in here today and work with you guys. And we're going to work with them to collaborate with even more partners in the local community. We're calling on the trusted members to help carry out the message about the importance of the census in this community. We have established and will be establishing more what they call B-counted sites. Hopefully this is one of the places that we can partner with if we haven't already done so. At the B-counted site, you can actually bring your census form in if you have any questions, and we'll have someone pick it up. We also have to set up locations where we can provide one-on-one assistance. That's called a QAC, or Questionnaire Assistance Center. And maybe we can use this facility for something like that also. In January, we launched a large-scale communications campaign to generate awareness and support for the census. You'll hear messages on the radio, television ads, local newspapers, and for all of you that are technology advanced, you can contact the census via Facebook, Twitter, and other social media outlets. One of the more exciting things that we have going right now is a road tour. So if you're conducting events like this, we can actually have the Census Road Tour bus come to your event and disperse information that way. It's 13 buses that are going to be touring the nation between January and April the 11th. We also want to educate our local communities about some of the group quarters activities that are going on. Group quarters are dormitories, group shelters, homes for disadvantaged folks, long-term health care facilities. And we actually have a group of people out right now in the community counting people in group quarter facilities. So if you see somebody going around with a census badge, sort of like this one, that's what they're doing. All the outreach and communication efforts are in anticipation of what people typically think of when they think of the census. I'm not going to do a question and answer right here, but typically when people think about the census, they think about the people going out, knocking on the doors, and conducting the census operation. Well, all of the things that we're doing now in the field is leading up to that. Okay? So that happens in April, late April, mid-March. But you're going to be getting a questionnaire mailed to you in mid-March. When you get that questionnaire mailed to you, you fill that questionnaire out and you return it. If you don't do it, then what people typically think of when the census happens. They'll knock at your door if you don't send that form back. I wanted to do, like I said, a little bit of teaching as far as Black history goes in relationship with the census. Wanted to let you guys know how it impacts us as a community. In 1790, the first census was conducted. And does anybody in here know, other than one of the PhDs or the superintendent of the school or the care chief, how many people were counted in that first census? It was 3.8 million people in the entire country that were counted in 1790. Of that 3.8 million people, anybody have an idea how many people were blacks or slaves that were counted? None. We got none. That's a typical response. People didn't think that black people were counted, but they actually were counted in the census in 1790 because they counted everybody. Now there was that 3/5 rule. It took 5 black people to make one person, or 3 people. They counted all the slaves. There were 700,000 black, African, or slaves in the country in 1790. 700,000, think about that. Out of 3.8 million people. In some areas, like South Carolina, more than half of the population, or just about half of the population, was actually black. We know that the nation was primarily built with the slave industry. In Virginia, there were 300,000 black people in Virginia alone. Out of that 700,000 that were counted, 300,000 were black that lived in Virginia. Some other things that are, I wanted to do some history, talk about black history, but I also wanted to talk about our black future, our African American future. Right now, from that 700,000, we've grown to a population of 41.1 million people in the latest census data, and that as of 2008. We've gone from 700,000 people being counted to 41 million in this country. By the year 2050, that population is estimated to be 65 million. Right now, we have 18 states. Remember I told you about that 700,000? We have 18 states right now with more than 700,000. We have 18 states with more than 1 million black residents right now. And Pennsylvania being one of those. This is my little census fun stuff. I had fun with this data. Right now, there are 24 states in the United States of America that blacks or African Americans are the largest minority. Now that is quickly changing. The Latino population is quickly rising. But 24 states right now, blacks are the largest minority population. We got a large group of youth in this room right now. 30% of the black population total in the United States of America is 18 years and younger. If you look in this room, it's about 30% of them right now, just eyeball. Moving on to education, 20% of all blacks ages 25 and older have a college degree. You know, at the end of this, I hope it's all going to make sense to you guys what I'm getting at. 20% of that population, 20% of 41.1 million people. Hope all of you know, it's a lot of numbers I'm going to throw at you right now. I told you it's school for you guys. 1.4 million black people have an advanced degree. That's it. 41.1 million people, 1.4 million have an advanced degree. 2.5 million people, 2.5 million black people are in college right now. So you can see the strides that we've made. There's only 1.4 million currently have, we actually have about twice as many people of our race that are in college right now trying to attain a degree. Voting. In 2008 election, 2.1 million black people voted more than had voted in 2004. That was the largest increase in any demographic in the country. The turnout rate for 18 to 24-year-olds, and you guys in the back, you'll be voting. Most of you look to be about teenage age. You'll be voting for your first president either in this next election or the very next. 18 to 24-year-olds, 55% voted in this last election. The largest turnout of any demographic in that age group. 65% of all black people voted in this last election, the highest in any demographic. Of all of the demographics that have a population count of over 30 million people, black people earn $34,000 annually. That's the lowest of any demographic. There's a poverty rate of about 25% for black people in this country. You hear a lot in the news about health care and health insurance. There's only about 20%. There's about 20% of blacks that don't have any type of health insurance currently. So these are things that we have to keep our eye on. I said all of these things to you guys, you know, kind of, I know we're limited on time, and I can talk about census data and census facts to you guys all day. I got plenty of numbers. I said all of these things to say this to you. We talked about black history, I want to talk about our black future. Just the data that we have alone, you can see that we're disenfranchised compared to the rest of the country. If you don't send back your census form, if you don't send back your census questionnaire, you won't be counted. If you're not counted, earlier on I mentioned you have $400 billion in federal funds that affect your communities. That $400 billion goes to things like funding schools. Funding schools leads to that college education that I spoke about. I grew up in a neighborhood where we did not have a high school. I had to catch the bus all the way across town because I grew up in one of those neighborhoods where people didn't care to be counted. If you don't care to be counted, you're going to be catching a bus from here all the way across town to try to get an education. If you don't get your education, you can't pay your bills. You can't have health insurance. You can't get a job. So I just want to bring it full circle for all you guys, how important it is for this community in particular to make sure that we focus on returning your census form in 2010. It's easy, it's safe, and it's fun. Last three numbers that I'll leave you with is it's 10 questions, it'll take 10 minutes, and it'll last you for 10 years. Okay? That's all I have. Thank you.